The African NFT community formed a little over a year ago, and it was founded by two artists, Vintage Mozart and Dark Myths, who are both from continental Africa, from Zimbabwe and Ghana, respectively. And essentially, it was to provide a space for African artists to get onboarded into the space, get the same resources and education that seem to be ever present in the Western world, and also to help mitigate a lot of the issues that we face, depending on what country you are from in Africa. Crypto accessibility or getting the resources and information that is a lot easier to access for those of us who are in the West. It wasn't so easy for them. So African NFT community kind of founded around this idea of providing access to people who were kind of getting left behind in the shuffle, honestly. I am actually of the diaspora, so I'm Jamaican, so I don't want to speak for the entire continent when I say this, but in general, just like from a factual standpoint, Africa is is the largest emerging economy. It's the largest economy now, whether that's in the shadows or like in reality, based on resources and all these other things that they contribute to the rest of the world. And it's also, again, like I said, the biggest and largest emerging economy, also the largest crypto adopters, based on rate. So basically, I think that a lot of the reason why we see a lot of continental Africans being so receptive to blockchain technology is because, for one, the continent itself does provide a lot of innovation, and we do see a lot of like engineers and stuff like that coming from the continent. And so I think they already had the mindset for it, where they are constantly evolving and innovating based on whatever's going on, whether it's the geopolitical climate or like the socioeconomic status of certain countries, that leads people to want to ideate and create different ways and different systems. And I think what blockchain technology provides for all of us is even more exciting for those who are in like non-Western countries, because they have governments and structures and things like that that weren't necessarily formed around their ideologies or their cultures and so being able to like start a DAO and create a movement around a cause that you appreciate, or to be an artist who sells internationally and things like that, I think is very exciting for continental Africans as well as Africans within the diaspora. Like I mentioned, I'm from the Caribbean as well, and this technology is very exciting for those of us who are in the Caribbean and who see an opportunity here to be a part of something and be a part of the innovation and the next iteration of what whether it's like companies and organizations are going to look like for us. And so I think with the African NFT community, we really find that NFTs are a great entry point to getting people into the broader Web3 if they happen to be unaware. But it's also just great to always target artists, because that's usually the people who are the early adopters of anything, are the people who are kind of on the fringes of society anyways, people who are already creating and ideating, and the innovators, so to speak.
Another point, maybe Mel could comment as well, that in Africa, like if you compare the blockchain adoption of the population in US, in UK, it's around like 10 to 20% of the population. In Africa, it's around 30%. It's much more. And there are like a few reasons as well, like and there's a high inflation, and in some way blockchain technology and the coins helps to into that point. And the other, it's a lack of a developed capital market. So I think it's a great condition for Africa, and I can see more and more DAOs and other types of projects growing in Africa as well.
Mel, can you talk about some of the success stories? And when I say success, it's very broad, but it can be any from your view on success. Some of the stories that you in the African NFT community that people should hear.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'd say as a community, something I'm really proud of was our Paradise exhibition, which happened this past March for Women's History Month. It was curated by another facilitator, Abby Ayua, who's also an artist, and it was the first of its kind, an IRL and virtual exhibition for artists. It was entirely done, like I said, by Abby, and it was entirely Black women. And we also got CNN coverage, which was really exciting to kind of have that like Web2 cosign. And that was something that probably would have been impossible to do just a year prior. Like last year in the space, we were still kind of scrounging for opportunities and looking for places where people of color or Black people in particular could kind of showcase their artwork. And so that was really exciting for us and a big milestone. Also, Giovanni, you mentioned like NFT NYC. This year was actually our second year. So we are our second consecutive year speaking at NFT NYC and being panelists. There are also like individual success stories that came out of our community. We have like the Afrojoids, which is a PFP done by a community member named Owo and his team. And they sold out and were able to, a part of their proceeds go to the Dream Chasers Academy, which is the first formal art school in Nigeria. And so the PFP itself sold out and did really well, and they're on to their next phase of things, but they were also able to build a school for these children in Nigeria, which was amazing to kind of see that process. There's also an artist named Moonsun Diamond who has done, I mean, super amazing things in the space since joining. And he recently displayed at Christie's, which was huge for us. Then the Mona Lana PFP, which is again, another amazing project that came out of our community that was done by Lana Danina, who's an artist. And I think they're at like a nearly like 200 ETH trade volume right now. It's something insane like that. But those are just a few exciting examples of things that have come out of our community thus far. I would actually be here all day if I had to rattle off everything, but we're super, super proud of what we've been able to achieve as a community, as well as individually as artists, since we all are creatives.
What we've been hearing is that DAOs can be a very difficult onboarding process for new members. That we had an interview a couple of weeks ago about that. So we'd love to hear from your perspective of, has there been difficulties in onboarding new members? And if so, what in particular is the African NFT community doing to alleviate this problem?
Yeah, that's a great question. There certainly has been a few hiccups when it comes to onboarding because, again, the initiative behind our community is to get people into the Web3 space, and that entry point is NFTs generally. And so we first have to onboard people into NFTs first. And then after they're comfortable and settled, then we're kind of bringing them into the DAO space and what it means to be a DAO and all the things that come along with that. And so I guess our biggest hurdle has kind of been, like with onboarding, has been just getting people to make that NFT to DAO transition, or to kind of bring them further into Web3, so to speak. And understanding that when it comes to being a DAO, like it is an active participation kind of thing, and it is like everyone gets a voice. I think people aren't used to being parts of organizations where they get like an equal vote, or they get a say, or they can kind of bring something to the table and have it be executed if they're willing to put in the work as well. And so a big part of what we do, even within our onboarding now, is we're just kind of always making it super clear and super transparent exactly what we're doing and how we're doing it, and letting people know that they can join in literally at any point in the start to finish process. And so yeah, I guess the way that we're alleviating that is just letting people know that it's okay to join in, and then making sure that they have the resources and education that we do about DAOs and about structure and about everything that we're doing. So like as we're building out our tokenomics, for example, we're being sure to communicate that to our community, so that way they at least have an understanding and then at least have a place to go and look at these resources, provided that they want to kind of take the next step in and become a facilitator, or, do admin work in this way or that way. And so, yeah, since we're still in our early stages, I guess we'll see how well or how differently that becomes as like we get bigger. But for now, it's been working. And I think that people are more enthusiastic and excited about this DAO transition that we made. Now that they kind of feel like they're being brought along for the ride, as opposed to just having to join in and not really understand what a DAO even is. I hope that answers your question.
Maybe give a tip on how do you encourage participation into the DAO as well, Like, what are ways to make people want to get more involved? Because sometimes people join a DAO and they're overwhelmed, and then they're like, I'm just gonna be an onlooker. But how do you get people to go in, participate, and vote? That's something I personally would like to know as well.
Yeah, that's a good question. And so I'll hold off on the voting. I'll leave that for last, because that, I think, is like the golden question that a lot of DAOs are asking right now. How do we get people to like participate in the snapshot votes and everything like that? But in general, just participation. I say the most important thing is like capturing value and capturing excitement. And so once someone expresses that they are excited about this thing or that thing, like jumping on and being like, hey, like fostering that, saying, yeah, that's so cool that you're interested in this. Here are all the details of what's going on. Like, what is it that you'd like to see for this? Do you have any thoughts? Do you have any opinions? Just bringing them in based on whatever it is they're excited about and whatever it is that they're interested in. I think that's a great way of turning someone from like a lurker per se into a contributor, is like finding their interest point. If they have an interest in like something specific, just kind of fitting them in that way, or giving them the opportunity to extending a hand in that way. When it comes to votes, we haven't kind of gotten to that point yet where we need like people to be voting on everything and active participation in that way. But that in the other organizations I'm a part of does prove to be kind of a challenge, kind of having voter turnout. But yeah, I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get there, but hopefully we'll be able to kind of maybe mitigate that issue in the same way that we've been doing with the other issues, which is just open communication and being very, very clear with our community that, hey, your opinion matters here. And the only way to kind of have this thing progress in a way that will benefit you is by participating and being an active contributor to how we're building it.
But how do you see, like, because this is pretty hard. Like all DAOs, they have a community, they are managed that. And this is challenging because in general, not everybody are gonna contribute, and how do you guys see that? Like, okay, is it fine that you're gonna have a significant amount of people that are not gonna be contributing, or is that something that, oh no, I'm gonna remove those people that are not contributing? How do you play with that?
Yeah. So for us, it's absolutely fine if everyone isn't able to contribute or doesn't want to contribute, because just going back to like why we even started in the first place, we kind of just want to be this springboard and this bridge for people. And so if they want to come in and kind of take the resources and information and opportunities and have that be it, that's absolutely okay. The entire, I guess, motivation behind becoming a DAO is that we have become so robust, and we do serve continental Africa, which on its own is huge. And then the diaspora as well, which is even more huge, for lack of a better word. But that's a lot of people from a lot of different backgrounds with a lot of different ideas and a lot to contribute. And so we want to make sure that, again, to go back to capturing value, that we're able to utilize the resources of our own community and say, like, if you guys are well versed in this topic or another, like, please feel free to contribute, and please feel free to kind of elevate yourself within the community as well, and kind of be a part of things. And we hope that by being a DAO, we can better serve the interests of our community. As it is so large, it's going to be hard for a small group of people to determine what's best for everyone. And so by having votes, by having this like transparent discourse about everything, it allows for people to kind of throw in their opinions and like give us perspectives that maybe we wouldn't have considered prior. And so, yeah, we're not kicking anyone out who doesn't like vote or who doesn't contribute to the DAO itself. But it really is important that that door remains open for everyone to join in.
Yeah, I like this approach because many people, they don't join because they feel that they are going to need to spend a lot of time. It's time consuming, but actually we should position that actually those communities are a place to get help, so that you can learn, you can be a better artist, you can be an entrepreneur about what you're building. And if you want to contribute, that is fine, but it's not something that is asked for you. That's pretty nice way of engage with them.